Hey guys, Jose here. Welcome back to another episode of the ForgeServ Let's Play. We're on episode 15 now, and it's about time that I get a proper RFTools dimension set up and ready to go. So here we go. We finally have one that uses some of the standard sort of setup here as far as the dimlets go. And fingers crossed this works out okay. We've got a digits 4 dimlet as well as a liquids 1, or liquids for fluids, for water rather. And a few other things specified, I'm hoping that everything works out okay. So we'll give this just a second to pop up here. There we go. And we'll go ahead and dial it. So let's go ahead and dive right on in, I guess. Who knows what's going to be on the other side. Okay, good. So, unlike my last failed attempts, this attempt was successful. So, the goal of this, of course, is to gather more dimensional shards and to have a nice big place where I can quarry. So, I am going to just kind of include some brief exploration fast-forwarded on camera, just so that I have some time to talk and some time to show you guys sort of what's going on in this dimension, because it really is about as, just about as vanilla as it gets, actually, which is pretty great. So, as you can see, we've got just your normal variety of biomes. I did go through a little bit afterwards once I found a few more dimlets and worked on a few more contraptions off camera and made this a noon-only time for the dimension. That's the word I'm looking for. So using noon-only was pretty helpful just to keep it at one time all the time. Might not be a bad idea to go ahead and move my solar generators here with a chunk loader, but I kind of feel like that's an overpowered solution, and there's actually a bug with the chunk loaders that I've programmed from persistent bits where they don't load in RFTools dimensions because RFTools, because of the nature of the RFTools dimensions having prerequisites, they don't actually load at world load time. They have to load after the world is loaded to make sure that the proper dimensions have power if need be. So because of that, it's kind of a little bit tricky. I'm not really sure if persistent bits has a way of working around this or not, to be completely honest. If anyone in the comments has any suggestions, it would be greatly appreciated, but I may end up just having to bother McJD about it. But I'm just kind of taking a quick mind real quick to, I'm taking a quick mind to see, there we go, to confirm my hopes and dreams for some dimensional shards. But now that that's done, I want to teach some autocrafting for the storage parts of the refined storage disks. So we're going to go ahead and teach this thing 1K, 4K, 16K, and 64K memory cell, or what are they called? Storage parts. And that way it knows how to do all the steps along the way, and we can just go in there and request 64Ks, which is what I'm going to do. I don't really know why I have such a ridiculous desire to go through and have stupid amounts of storage. I just do. To be completely honest with you, there's no real reason why I wouldn't do this. It's one of those things that you just really should do at some point or another. So, with all 4 variants of storage parts and storage disks in autocrafting, let's go ahead and request up some storage disks. So I'm going to go ahead and get some 64Ks, but we're going to start off with a 1K first, just to slap a label on this crafter. As you can see, there's a chest over there that had IC2 recipes where refined storage just didn't handle it very well, but these 4K storage parts are doing okay. So I'm going to grab a 64K or 2 and try to empty out my old 4Ks to use in the crafting of a 64K or 2. So it's going to take a good little while to do, but we'll get there eventually. So, in before jump cut. And there we go. So, we have a few of them. We'll go ahead and craft the actual disc, since I made the part instead of the disc, which was my fault. And that'll get us 6 64Ks. So here comes the fun part. I have to get everything out of the 4Ks and into the 64Ks. This is kind of a bit of a challenge because refined storage, which I'm confirming here, doesn't actually have any methods of doing this quite yet. There's no sort of I/O port implemented at the time being. So this is kind of a bit of a challenge being posed here. Fortunately, refined storage does have an interesting system, however. If you decide that you want to shift-click an item into your inventory and your inventory is full, it spawns said item into the world instead of not transferring the item at all. So this is actually going to prove relatively helpful, because what I'm going to do once I get everything handled here with my little sorting ender chest, to make sure that it doesn't try to insert into places that it does not need to insert into, what I can do is just go through and choose every item in the game, or in my network, that isn't a refined, or that isn't in a storage drawer rather, which I'm about to disconnect my storage network as well, and make sure that I just kind of spam click everything out of there. So we're going to watch the ender pouch fill up a little bit with that ender link frequency, and that's just fine by me, to be honest. The way everything is set up is in such a way that if that fills up, that ender link frequency fills up, I'm actually not going to be in any damage. So that's pretty fortunate as far as that situation goes. So I did forget to grab another disk drive. I had a plan here. I'm not really sure where I was going with this, because my end plan worked out a lot better than what I think I was going to do here. Because my original plan was to make another disk drive, and instead of spitting the items out everywhere, I was just going to take everything one at a time and export it and import it again, setting the drive with the 64Ks to a higher priority. In the end, this actually didn't end up being a very good idea, and so bear with me. I'm going to be doing it on camera anyways, just to show you guys sort of the process, but I will warn you now, this was not a good solution, and not the one that I ended up sticking with. So in the meantime, you may notice this is today's second video. Well, I'm recording this on the same day, or rather recording the voiceover for this on the same day as the 14th episode. I do occasionally have time to get on ForgeServ and actually play here lately, but I haven't had so much time to record, do the jump cut edits, and record the voiceover. So that is one of the very nice graces of the way I do my videos now, is that I'm able to record whenever I can, no matter what the audio situation is, and then come back later and do the actual commentary if I so choose. So I had to put my ender chest back down because I forgot that this system relied on it, actually. That was my own fault. So here we go, the processor is now in the system, and now that we have everything ready, like I said, this was a totally failed idea, but it's worth including the content just for the heck of it. This entire base design, by the way, I don't know if you guys follow me on Twitter, and going back to the whole recording versus recording voiceover, the footage you're seeing was recorded about the end of August, maybe even around August 22nd or 24th, but the voiceover is being recorded on September 4th. So, to put it into perspective, there's that. But if you've been following my Twitter lately, and if you haven't, my handle is oitsjustjose. I've posted a few pictures of my redesign for my basement, and I have recorded some already as well of the process of redesigning and all that stuff as well. But there's actually one of my greater concerns that I've had here is that the storage room down here is pretty cramped, a little bit dark, and for the most part it just wasn't really working out for me. So you'll get to see it in the next, I think it's actually 4 episodes away now, maybe even 5. Nonetheless, you'll see the changes coming, and it's actually very exciting because the new redesign of the basement is pretty impressive. Like I mentioned, if you want to get a sneak peek, then go take a look at it on my Twitter. I posted about it I think maybe September 1st or September 2nd. But it's nice. So yeah, as far as me and my schedule, it's been a little bit hectic, like I mentioned in episode 14. With school and work combined has not been very fun. As mentioned in my last episode, in case you missed it, I have put in my 2 weeks notice at work, so September 14th will be the last day that I should hopefully stop at work, and hopefully also stop slacking here on the video front. That would be the most ideal plan. September 14th, maybe don't expect a video from me. That is my birthday, so I might be doing something. I don't think I am. To be plain Jane about it, I'm not actually that very interesting of a person as far as my social life goes. So I'm not a partier, I'm not a drinker, I'm not a peruser of any drugs or really anything. Like, to me, the idea of a fun night is literally just stay inside, don't do squat, or go out with very close family friends and family, and then go home. You know, I'm not one who enjoys parties or large crowds. It's just not who I am. It's not that I have any social anxieties per se. I just, I don't really care about people that much. It might be something I picked up from my mom. It might not be. I'm not really sure. Just not something that has ever particularly interested me. But nonetheless, September 14th, I will not be making a video. Hopefully, up until then, I will try my hardest to keep videos up every day, if not every other day. At this point, I'm just talking because or talking about various things because what's going on screen is incredibly boring. But you will see soon enough that this process is all very worthwhile. But hopefully I will have the videos coming back up very progressively. If you didn't know or you were even remotely interested, I'm a computer science major, and essentially the greatest concern with being a computer science major, for me at least, is the fact that right now I'm taking some very challenging and lengthy classes. I've decided to pick up an Intro to Art class as my requirement for Fine Arts, which was not a good idea because it is going to be a very, very tedious class, even though I have a high amount of appreciation for art and art history and already know quite a bit. I have Ethics in Computing, which is going to be a very interesting class. If you've ever taken a college course, then you might know that most teachers in most classes are okay with, 4 pages double-spaced or 1,000 words double-spaced for an essay. This class's midterm is due September 22nd. The midterm consists of a midterm test and also a midterm paper. And the midterm paper must be 5 pages at least, and those 5 pages must be single-spaced. In other words, it is not going to be a fun time. However, as of today, I'm already about 4 1/4 pages into or 3 1/4. Yeah, 3 1/4 pages into it. So I've only got about a page and 3/4 left, and that's hopefully going to be no problem to get done. I have quite a few things left to discuss in this ethical paper of mine. And the final paper, I've actually chosen my topic already for the class. So fortunately for me, each student's final paper topic must be independent because we have to present them in front of the class. So I've already chosen mine. I'm going to be doing mine on autonomous and semi-autonomous driving and the faults of any fatalities or just the faults in general that come alongside it. These are things that I'm kind of intrigued by. So I feel like it's a good place to kind of come for ethical perspective as well. Nonetheless, it looks like we are almost done. I'm just now discovering a few things that were craftable but also in my supply, and that's why some of these drives were still full. Once I get all this stuff out that was craftable but also in stock, once I get all of this out, you'll see that all of the 4K drives show as completely empty, and that is a perfect feeling because once they're empty, I can use them for crafting more 64Ks, which is what I do. So, oh, and the magnet's trying to make it follow. I disconnected this for a bit of a debug, but back on the original topic and not my school topic, 64Ks are in place. We're just going to go ahead and try to free up some space here because my inventory is a hot mess right now. In case you've ever wondered, by the way, a lot of the random alloys and steel and random things that I end up getting, I actually get them from challenger mobs, which are from my mod VTweaks, which has each mob from VTweaks has a it can add a challenger or like a difficulty buff to any hostile mob added by any mod, and with that it also adds a custom loot table, and I customize it to interface with mod metals and mod materials. I've since disabled those as of a few days ago in real life, not in recording time. So that's kind of just one of those things that I decided I kind of did wrong. I think I'm not really sure. Like, the code is fine. I'm talking about on the server. I don't think they were really a good fit for the server. I do believe next time I won't be doing any challenger mobs on my next server, World. But hopefully we don't have to discuss that quite yet. I feel like, as of now, this map still has a good bit of life. So that's my hope, at least. So it seems as though we've gotten everything transferred from the 4K drives to the 64K drives. You can see in F3 mode, I was taking a look at my FPS as it seemed to tank with all these Ender IO machines going crazy. But it looks like we're using about 471 RF per tick. RS and RF are equivalent 1-to-1. And so it looks like we're in pretty good shape here, just crafting up the last few 64Ks. So we'll get that done, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.